So here's a question for you. What could possibly connect one of the most famous statues in the world with a church that's literally carved into the ground? The answer is this really simple but surprisingly powerful idea, and it might just change how you look at things. Let's dive in. Okay, so on one hand, you've got these incredible rock-hewn churches in Lalibela, Ethiopia. We're talking 12th century. Entire cathedrals carved straight down into the earth. And then you have Michelangelo's David, right? A total icon of the Italian Renaissance. One is this massive act of faith carved out of a volcanic plain, and the other is this perfect human form pulled from a single block of marble. I mean, they couldn't seem more different. So what in the world is the connection? What's the hidden thread that ties these two things together? A church dug from the ground and a statue freed from stone? Well, that's the secret we're about to uncover. And here it is. The secret isn't about what was added to create these wonders. Nope, it's all about what was taken away. The answer is found in the profound and honestly often overlooked art of subtraction. Think about how we usually build something. We add things, right? Bricks, mortar, we build up. The creators of Lalibela did the exact opposite. They started with a huge piece of solid rock and just carved down, chipping away all the dirt and stone around it until, boom, these incredible monolithic churches, like the famous Church of St. George, were just left behind. And get this, Michelangelo had the exact same insight. He famously said that David was already waiting inside that block of marble. He believed his job wasn't to create something new, but to liberate the form that was trapped inside. He took a 17-foot block that other artists had totally given up on, and he simply chipped away everything that wasn't David. So this shared method, it really just boils down to a simple 3-step process. First, you start with a solid mass. Second, you get rid of everything that is not the thing you want to create. And third, you reveal the masterpiece that was hiding in there all along. That's the core idea right there. Now, this is way more than just a cool artistic technique. It's actually a pretty deep philosophical concept. And this negative way of thinking, it has a formal name. It's called via negativa. It's a Latin term, and it just means the negative way. It's a method for understanding something not by listing all the things it is, but by systematically figuring out all the things it is not. It's about finding clarity through removal. To really see how powerful this is, let's compare it to how we usually do things, via positiva, or the affirmative way. That's where we describe what something is. Via negativa just flips the script. This whole idea actually came from theology, where thinkers realized that for a concept as huge as God, it was a lot more accurate to describe what God wasn't. And this ancient idea has a pretty cool modern name, subtractive epistemology. I know, it sounds complicated, but all it means is that real knowledge grows by getting rid of what's false, not just by adding more stuff we think is true. And when you think about it, knowing what's definitely wrong is a much stronger foundation than just collecting a bunch of facts that might be right. The modern thinker Nassim Nicholas Taleb puts it perfectly. He just says knowledge grows by subtraction. And it makes so much sense, right? Every single time you remove an error or a bad assumption or a flawed idea, you get smarter. It's a guaranteed win. Okay, so this is way more than just ancient art and philosophy. How can we actually use via negativa in our lives today? This is where it gets incredibly practical. Think about medicine. The first rule is do no harm. Removing what's poisonous is the most critical step. In business, real focus doesn't come from chasing every new shiny object, but from ruthlessly saying no to distractions. And in our own lives, man, removing just one bad habit can bring so much more improvement than adding a dozen new resolutions ever could. The legendary investor Charlie Munger basically lived by this rule. He wasn't trying to be the most brilliant guy in the room. He was just obsessed with avoiding big, stupid mistakes. His wisdom was all about removing the potential for error, and that turned out to be a really powerful strategy for long-term success. So what's the big takeaway here? Let's bring it all the way back to that idea of sculpting. But this time, the masterpiece we're talking about is you. Just like Michelangelo knew David was already waiting inside that marble, the best version of your life, your work, or yourself is probably already in there, just waiting to be revealed. So maybe the most important question isn't, what should I add? Maybe it's, what must I remove? So what will you chip away?